So the benefits belong to us, the Turkish Treasury. Will you give me the names of those individuals? This was the first transaction, in my view, that was a fascinating one, but outside the memoir of the Morgenthau, there is nothing written about it. But that was one fascination. What happened? Did they get the money? What did they do with it? The second transaction was leaked to a point in 1924 by two former British prime ministers, Asquith and Baldwin, who were invited to deliver a memorial during a charitable fundraising for Armenian orphans in Westminster, England. That charitable organization was the Lord Mayor's Charitable Foundation, during which these two former British prime ministers mentioned in paragraph 4 of their memorial. In 1915, they said, after the forced deportation of the Armenians, the Turkish government was able to confiscate the bank accounts, the safe deposits of the forcefully deported Armenians, and collected the sum of the equivalent of some 6 million Turkish gold pounds, which is $25 million equivalent of the 1916 dollars. And they went on further to say that those $5 million were then transferred from Constantinople and deposited in Berlin Reichsbank on Ittihadist account. Ittihadists were the Unionists who were the actual rulers of the Ottoman Empire during the genocide. Two very interesting views, but nothing written about it. When I did some search in our genocide literature, I could find nothing about it. And I realized that up to mid-1980s, all and every document related to financial transactions that are linked to the Armenian genocide remained classified. In the mid-80s, a batch of documents were released in the public domain. And we were lucky with, the Armenians, because the Armenian Assembly of America hired a firm to sift through these 50,000 pages of documents and select those documents which were directly linked to the Armenians. And they have formed microfilms, 4,000 pages, which are available to universities, and UCLA was one of the recipients of those microfilms. And I was lucky also to do some research there to discover more details about these two financial transactions. So my talk is going to be concentrating on these two transactions, each involving 25 million upwards, about 50 millions in today's dollars, in billions. But let there be no mistake that this is just 1 per thousand of the actual wealth that the Turks confiscated from the Armenians. The houses, the shops, the factories, the vineyards, the schools, all together in today's dollars is in trillions. But we don't have much evidence, much trail to follow this. These two transactions that I'm going to talk about are significant because they can be verified, they can be traced to archival documents in the United States, Great Britain, France, and Turkey. Of course, in Berlin as well. So I'm going to start about the 1916 Talad's request of the names of the Armenians insured. How did that happen? What did they do about it? In fact, as early as January 1916, some 7 months after the full-scale deportation of the Armenians, the Minister of Commerce and Agriculture on orders of the Interior Minister, Talat, issued memoranda to all foreign insurance companies and banks doing business in Turkey, requesting from them to hand over all Armenian bank accounts and life insurance policies that they hold. For this purpose, they have set up liquidation commissions all over Turkey, requesting from these bankers to hand in the list of the Armenians having accounts with them. This was in 1916. Well, when you realize that the denial today is based on falsification of the facts by saying that the deportations were actually meant relocation. Well, if that was the case, how can it be that after 6 months of the start of the genocide, you are after collecting the money of the dead? De facto, those deportations were meant certain death. So here's one fact that I discovered and say that, well, how can you claim that the deportations were meant relocation? This cannot hold truth at all. So what happened at that point is that the insurance companies, when they received these notices, were kind of surprised and jittery. They knew what was coming. And at that point, the only Western ambassador in Turkey was the US Embassy. We did not enter the war until the end, and we remained neutral. So the US Embassy was the powerhouse for information gathering and dealing with the Turkish government. Well, but what the insurance companies requested from Morgenthau is to say to Talat that it is not possible for us to provide the names of the insured because we really don't know how to separate Armenians from the non-Armenians. And the list of the Armenians insured are not here in Constantinople. They are in the headquarters in New York. For us to get these names, it will take time. Please give us some time on that. This was 1916, and what happened is that between 1916 and 1921, there was a blank period, meaning that there was no documents showing whether or not those actual collections were made. In 1921, a very important document was discovered. That document was from the New York Life Insurance Company's senior vice president, Buckner, who in a letter to the US Secretary of State, Lansing, said that we are now in a very dire situation. The Turkish government wanted from us to collect the monies in 1916. However, we believe that we are not liable for payments of these insurance monies because those deaths that occurred were the direct result of the Turkish government's planned, organized crime and murder of the Armenian civilians. We know, and you know better than us, the insurance companies says to the State Department Secretary Lansing, that how these killings were done. We cannot bring about Article 6 to exonerate us from payment. And what Article 6 in the insurance companies says that if a death results from a judicial condemnation or the death results from war-related events, the insurance policies become null and void. However, the insurance companies were saying, we know better, and you know better than we do, that those killings were unrelated to judicial condemnation, and they were not related to war. So we are liable for payments. However, because the Turkish government committed those acts, they are liable for payments. So here is a situation where the Turks were trying to get the money from the insurance companies, But the insurance